Signal 1.
213 at 2180 Memorial Drive, Signal
213 on our way.
I bought a brand new airmobile, it custom made. 'Twas a flight DeVille with a powerful motor and some hideaway wings. Pushing on the button and you will hear her sing. Now you can't catch me, baby, you can't catch me. 'Cause if you get too close, you know I'm gone like a cool breeze. New Jersey Turnpike in the wee hours, I was rolling slow because of drizzling showers. Yeah, come a flat top, he was moving up with me, then come waving goodbye in a little old souped up jitney. I put my foot in my tank and I began to roll. Moaning siren, 'twas a state patrol. So I let out my wings and then I blew my horn. Bye-bye New Jersey, I become airborne. Now you can't catch me, baby, you can't catch me. 'Cause if you get too close, you know I'm gone like a cool breeze. Flying with my baby last Saturday night, wasn't a gray cloud floating in sight. Big full moon shining up above. Huddle up, honey, be my love. Sweetest little thing I ever seen. I'm gonna name you Maybelline. Flying on the beam, set on flight control. Radio tuned to rock and roll. 2-3 hours done passed us by. Altitude dropped to 505. Fuel consumption way too fast. Let's get on home before we run out of gas. Now you can't catch me, no baby, you can't catch me. 'Cause if you get too close, you know I'm gone like a cool
Signal 1 is being brought to you by the Atlanta Regional Headquarters of Western Electric. Western Electric, the manufacturing and supply unit of the Bell system.
Auto theft, the most vexing problem defying Georgia law enforcement agencies. Nearly 1/3 of all cars stolen in the 9-state southern area are stolen in Georgia. The vast majority of them right here in Atlanta. Auto theft, a metropolitan average of 13 a day. Cars are stolen for several reasons. One is transportation. Perhaps lawless teenagers out for joyriding kicks. And then they dump it. In every type of crime, from petty larceny to homicide, stolen cars are used.
Quote, hey, I want to see you before you get away.
Over half the cars stolen in Atlanta, however, are stolen for resale. Quoting the Fulton County Grand Jury, we are confronted with a most serious problem relative to the protection of the automobiles of its citizens and the apprehension and punishment of organized rings of car thieves who are operating systematically and on a tremendous scale in this part of Georgia.
Atlanta at the present time is approximately 15 automobile theft rings in operation. Each ring consists between 3 and 20 members, either living in Atlanta or nearby, infiltrating the Atlanta areas to steal desired automobiles, to fill specific orders for people whom prefer to buy through the black market at a cut price. These cars that we find stolen mostly are Chevy Super Sports, Ford Fastbacks, Pontiac Grand Prix, and Volkswagens.
Typical car thief operating in and around the Atlanta area are teenagers by the great majority, their age running from 18 to 21 years, quite often going up to 27, 28. The biggest majority of these individuals do have previous police records for auto larceny. They're highly efficient in their field of auto larceny. It's became a very skilled business for them. They can steal an automobile in a matter of approximately 3 minutes. Thief and transport of these stolen automobiles receives from the person whom he delivers the car to $100 for the theft of the automobile and delivery of it. If the principal thief will cut the car up or strip it down for this individual, he can also be paid an additional $100.
We'll return to Signal 1 after this message from Western Electric.
Beautiful Atlanta, steeped in history and tradition, and teeming with growth. Just look, another new housing development, Heatherwood, dozens of new homes, and of course, new Bell telephones too. How does Southern Bell keep up with Atlanta's growing telephone needs? Part of the answer comes from Western Electric, the manufacturing and supply company of the Bell system. For instance, when additional telephone equipment is called for, people of Southern Bell consult with Western Electric engineers, and together they specify the equipment to meet the increased needs. Then, much of the equipment is tailor-made in Western Electric plants to high Bell system standards of reliability, because all the products must work perfectly with each other in the nationwide Bell telephone network. Western Electric service to Southern Bell also includes installing telephone switching equipment, wiring, connecting, testing, and furnishing other products and supplies from Western Electric's distribution center on Forest Road in Atlanta. As the greater Atlanta area continues to grow, your Bell telephone service keeps pace. And always on hand to help is Western Electric, the Bell system company that makes and supplies reliable telephone equipment.
Two professionals working together can completely strip an automobile of its engine, transmission, running gear, interior, bucket seats, the doors, and the front end section, to include the fenders, the grill, the front bumper, all in a matter of just a couple of hours.
Saw one ring operating out of a metal barn on Highway 19 about a mile south of Cumming, Georgia. This barn was a former feed storage sheds and garage that were used to strip and dismantle the cars. Most of them were 64s, usually Oldsmobiles or Fords or Chevrolets, stolen from the Atlanta area. One of the cars, a 1964 Oldsmobile with only 965 miles on it, was completely stripped, cut up in sections, and ready for loading. It was reported stolen from DeKalb County about 1 p.m. and recovered about 5:30 p.m. the same day, all cut up and ready to ship. They used a rental trailer to transport the parts from a shed. A complete car except for the motor and frame was packed inside the trailer ready to go. Discovery of the frames of the Shawnee Mountain Woods led us to locate in the garage. They cut up about 2 cars a day in there.
Oftentimes the abandoned bodies are actually intended to be found by the police. The thief then puts in a high bid on the body at a salvage auction. Later they reassemble the parts on the exact same frame they were taken from, since the records are now closed. The thief sells the car for a net profit of about $1,000, and who picks up the tab? The insured driver.
The whole fact remains that it is you and I who are paying these bills. As more cars are stolen, more money has to be taken in by the insurance companies to pay for these automobiles. As a result, our comprehensive rates went up 20% last June and will continue to rise as long as automobiles are stolen at the rapid pace they are stolen now. The state law of Georgia requires that when a car is wrecked beyond reasonable cost of repairs, and the car is subsequently sold as scrap or used parts, that the title and serial plate be submitted to the state title department for cancellation. This practice is not being enforced now due to the fact that the title law itself is very ambiguous. The tiny serial plate here and the title certificate are the tools of an automobile thief's trade. He can take these 2 items and steal a car of same make and model, place this serial plate on the car, and have valid title with corresponding numbers to the plate on the automobile, and as a result, he can sell the car to most any dealer or through any sales yard. No one has directed the insurance companies at this time to turn these titles and serial plates into the title department when a car is total loss. Within the state title department over at the state capitol, there isn't any machinery or procedure in that department set up to take care of title certificates and serial plates that are turned in on salvaged automobiles. By turning these 2 items in to the state, with rendering the salvage valueless, then that alone would take the tools of a thief's trade out of his hands and would cut automobile thefts approximately 90%.
If we could get some control to require these people that deals in junk automobile parts to have a license and policed by the state, it not only control the theft of automobiles to some extent, but it also bring in some revenue. For instance, when we can show that they are dealing with the thieves themselves, and if they're doing it through no legal course, that we can ask that these licenses be revoked, and they should be revoked. As it is now, that honest dealers have a hard time making a living because they're competing with people who steals parts and sells the parts cheap.
How are stolen cars disposed of? Through disreputable automobile auction dealers, fly-by-night used car dealers and lots. The majority of the established car lots are honest and reliable businesses, but those who are not provide a ready market for these stolen automobiles.
As president of the Atlanta Automobile Dealers Association, I would like to recommend to you that you buy your car from an authorized, reputable dealer, one that will stand behind his products, because today's real steel may be tomorrow's real headache. If you have any questions, check with the Better Business Bureau.
Since the skilled professional ring determines when and where it will strike, it takes a combination of hard work, dogged determination, and luck to achieve effective arrests.
Oh, yeah, it started that lightning again. It's going to rain like it did the other night. Tonight you got some soaking wet.
Slap with his skin.
Both of us going that good.
That was the last clean suit I had. Go to the cleaners the next morning.
I know what you mean. These windows get fogged up. We had to roll these windows up. It'd be hard to sleep. Why not believe my watch is slow? Check the radio and see what time it is. I ain't good feeling it.
87/21. I'm not sure about mine. It runs fast sometimes.
Mine does too.
213 radio.
Go ahead.
213, give us a time check, please.
213, 9:26 p.m., KIA 532.
213 received. Oh, by the way, you heard from Joe's wife yet?
Yeah, she's not doing too well from it. She had to move her from one hospital to another one. Joe doesn't get a chance to see her very much. Been working the morning watches she's been doing lately.
I'm guessing not getting to sleep anyway.
Oh, that's the thing about working these hours. His hours like ours. She has to work these long hours and gets involved in something like a stakeout.
Stakeout, a grueling task that wears on hour after hour, night after night, usually on the detective's own time. Hard, tiresome work, but the chance of apprehension makes it all worthwhile.
You going to court this morning or want me to go?
I expect the two of us had better go because as much interest as you and I both have got in this case, we're both working hard.
I hope we had better luck tonight than we had last night. We deserve a break.
Oh, that's the way that court case come out today,
When you lay a case out in front of them the way we did today, all those witnesses, perfect, our witnesses, and turn him loose. Run her out.
Well, I think this is him. They just sit still. You got the seatbelt fastened? Wait till he gets by us, because if that's that pickup truck, sit still.
Let him get by us first. Check it down.
Well, this is the third morning we've sat here. I hope that's it.
3 strikes, we either get a home run or strike
There's
out.
2 subjects in it.
Let him get on by.
You got that tag number handy?
Yeah.
There he goes by.
Oftentimes, weeks turn into months during these investigations. Intensive detective work follows up new leads, open by questioning of any and all subjects. Records are researched, exhaustive legwork to contact the victim in person or people in and about the neighborhood or area where these thefts are committed.
A ring is broken, and a thorough case is prepared and brought against the criminals. Conviction seems assured, or does it?
Minimum sentence, to be handled as a misdemeanor.
Minimum sentence. Though found guilty, guilty beyond the shadow of a doubt, the criminal will soon be free to steal again. And steal again he will. Police records prove it. The verdict of minimum sentence is handed down time after time to the consternation of police officials, the judiciary, and the public. Minimum sentence. Why?
I am certain that some law enforcement officers feel that defendants should receive longer sentences in these particular cases. In the first place, if a young man, 17 or 18 years of age, takes a joyride in an automobile and he does not have any previous record, then it is certainly logical for the court to probate such a sentence. If such a sentence is imposed, this man is put on probation. He's required to report to the probation officer, and in most instances, he's required to pay a fine. He has to follow the specific directions of the court and the probation officer. He cannot keep company with people known to be a part of the criminal section of our community, and he has to follow many other specific directions that are requested and put upon him by the court. And in many instances, when a case goes before a jury, The jury does not know about the record of the defendant, and they look at him, and most of the time the more experienced criminal can make the better case before the jury. And he can sell the jury on the fact that if they convict him at all, that they should only give him a minimum sentence. And in fact, in most of our cases, in these type cases, the jury will go out and argue for 3 or 4 hours and come back and recommend that the defendant be given a sentence of 1 year and that he be punished as for a misdemeanor, when in fact he may have a very long record.
Normally those people that go to trial are well-known auto thieves and been in trouble many times before, and consequently feel that they would rather take their chances before a jury on a plea of not guilty. And because of the large influx of population within Fulton County and in this jurisdiction, many, many times we find jurors that have never served on a petty jury before, and they're inclined to be lenient and treat the defendant somewhat lightly, and after he has served a third of his minimum sentence, he's then eligible for release by the parole board and back out stealing automobiles again.
Now, has it been your experience then that the juries are actually sentencing these people rather lightly?
We find that as a general rule, the jurors are inclined to treat automobile thievery somewhat lightly. And an interesting point in that connection is that something over 4,000 cars were stolen from the city of Atlanta last year. Stealing automobiles in this area is big business because they can be out of the jurisdiction in a matter of minutes. Organized car thieves are constantly operating and preying upon the people in this circuit, and that's one reason, or the main reason, why we formed this special auto larceny squad, to follow them into these counties, and with the cooperation of the local law enforcement officials of those counties, to apprehend, arrest, and see if we couldn't convict them.
At the present time, under our laws, the jury fixes the sentence in all larceny of automobile cases. This law very definitely should be changed because the jury does not have the record before them in which to study and to determine how much time this defendant should have. And the law should be changed. In fact, the legislature ought to change the law so as to permit the jury to determine only the guilt or innocence of the defendant, and then let the court fix the sentence after they determine his guilt or innocence. The court would have before it the record of the man. They would know probably many things that the jury would never know about the defendant, and I feel that if this were done, it would aid law enforcement greatly in our community.
Automobile theft is a serious crime in all states in the United States, but particularly in Georgia, whereas the penalty is 10 years in the penitentiary. We have various problems in the state of Georgia due to the fact that it's a very mobile situation where the thief can take an automobile and hit an expressway and he's gone before the owner will ever miss the automobile. We have found that it's necessary that we police the entire states, go into various counties, in order to work the theft of these automobiles. This squad was formed July the 28th through 3 contributing organizations, the county, the state, the city of Atlanta. It's been kicked around for some little while, and probably the Gwinnett County murder stimulated the thoughts of the need for a state auto theft squad. Since we have formed this squad, we've been successful in convicting, apprehending various automobile thieves that we probably wouldn't have had time to handle before.
The triple murder in Gwinnett County, an act that pointed up the need for the state auto theft squad, occurred when 3 Gwinnett County policemen evidently discovered car thieves stripping a late-model Oldsmobile. The officers were somehow disarmed, handcuffed together, and murdered with their own guns in a remote pine grove. F. Quill Salmon, sheriff of Gwinnett County at the time of the slayings, linked the murders with car thievery and other serious crimes rampant at the time in Gwinnett County.
At the time I came into office in Gwinnett County, it was running at the rate of stripping cars in approximately $75,000 a month, which of course was cut down in around 7 days instead of a car a day to 3 cars. Then we had this terrible incident of a massacre and gangland type murder of our 3 policemen And there was a stolen car there, which shows that stolen cars and auto larceny can be associated with much seriouser crimes than just stealing or larceny. And it's certainly one that we should exert a major effort on. And the State Auto Larceny Squad is one of the finest moves that we've made, although I know that they're understaffed.
When the public sentiment dies or people regard auto thefts as an occasional event, this results in the jury's sentiments also dying because the public makes up our jurors. And it's obvious that the jurors, and as well as the public, should take a more positive attitude toward auto thefts, and particularly support the State Auto Theft Squad, which is a great thing for this state, as well as also support the local police in the dealing with the car thieves in this area.
We'll be back to Signal 1 after this word from Western Electric.
Your familiar Bell telephone, always ready to give you fast, dependable service. What makes it so reliable? Here's part of the answer. It's built that way by Western Electric, the manufacturing and supply unit of the Bell system. But for Southern Bell to assure you of telephone service day in, day out, everything Western Electric makes for the nationwide Bell telephone network must work, and work together perfectly. Things like telephone wire and cable, complex relays and switches, electron tubes, transistors, to name a few. Western Electric serves in other ways, too. From offices on Peachtree Street, Western Electric engineers plan new switching equipment for Southern Bell telephone offices and follow each job from blueprints to the final connections. Western Electric installers put this equipment in place and get it ready for operation. Another service is provided by Western Electric's many distribution centers, like this one in Atlanta, furnishing the Bell telephone companies with day-to-day equipment and supplies to serve their subscribers. Manufacture, installation, supply. Western Electric provides them all to its Bell system teammate, Southern Bell, to help bring you low-cost, dependable telephone service.
We've had quite a problem in Georgia with reference to automobile thefts, and when I became governor, I reorganized the GBI. Since that time, we have established a separate automobile theft squad whose sole purpose is to go out and investigate and to help convict and prosecute those criminals who are engaging in the theft of automobiles. In addition to that, of course, we need to strengthen the title law that was passed, and we need to provide a greater penalty for those individuals who would steal automobiles. I'm quite sure that the General Assembly of Georgia during this session will provide a stronger law for penalties for automobile theft and will tighten any loophole that might be in the title law.
Auto theft is indeed a most serious problem. But what can the owner do specifically to protect his car? Atlanta Police Auto Theft Squad Lieutenant S.L. Salvin discusses the problem with Channel 11's Bill Young.
Bill, nearly half the cars stolen in Atlanta are taken right here in northeast Atlanta.
How come?
Well, there's a large concentration of cars in a small area. The people are unfamiliar with their neighbors, and then there's the proximity to the expressway.
Well, are these people at the complete mercy of these car thieves?
No, they're not, Bill. They can lock both the ignition and the car doors. They should not leave the ignition in an off position. Always put it in a lock position. 40% of the cars stolen have keys left in the ignition, or the ignition turned only to the off position.
Well, can a thief get into a locked car if he feels like it?
Yes, but a locked car is not as apt to be stolen. If possible, the owners of cars should park them up in the driveway and off the street.
Now, if they can't get off the street or they can't get into a driveway, what can they do then?
Well, Bill, then they can turn to alarm devices. Devices attached to the car that in the event it is tampered with, the horn will sound or siren will go off.
Now, how about marking a car with something personal to identify themselves?
Yes, a person can put his name and address in some secret place in the automobile, known only to him. Then, if the vehicle is stolen and recovered, we can use this for positive identification.
Now, Joe, a large parking lot like this one looks like it ought to be a happy hunting ground for the auto thief.
Yes, Bill, quite a few people pull into a place like this, get out of the car and leave the motor running, or if they turn the motor off, they leave the key in the switch for an extended period of time.
Lieutenant, looks like something's going on ahead up there.
Yeah, it looks like car 29 may have found another one.
Signal 1 has been brought to you by the Atlanta Regional Headquarters of Western Electric. Western Electric, the Bell System company that makes and supplies reliable telephone equipment.